You've probably read some articles or heard in the news or maybe went on our website and seen, but it seems that the alimony reform bill, as many people were calling it, is kind of dead in the water. Right now, it seems that the legislatures are taking a break. The senators and representatives and people in the advocacy groups are kind of calling a truce almost.
And if you don't know already, I'm going to go ahead and tell you, alimony reform or any significant changes in Florida alimony are pretty much finished for year 2014.
I'd like to say that I find it very disappointing. I do believe there needs to be reform in the area of permanent periodic alimony.
I don't really know all the things and all the reasons why they might be stopping the pursuit of this reform bill at this moment in time, because there's so many different angles to it. But if you want my opinion, I believe that the main reason that they're not pursuing this right now is because they started a trickle effect and it's kind of working.
The sponsors of the bill have decided not to reintroduce the bill for 2014. And the reason is we have a race for governor this year. Governor Scott was the potential signer of any kind of new law, and Governor Scott has decided not to sponsor, endorse, or sign any controversial bills or laws for 2014.
There are situations where there are people, and not just women, I want to add, men as well, that are receiving permanent periodic alimony. It may not be appropriate under the current law, though they are entitled to that alimony.
Many judges, almost like a domino effect, are taking to heart whatever good they can find from that bill and are using it for either the benefit or detriment, it depends on what side of the table you're on, for their parties, the respondents and petitioners.
For those of you that want to raise alimony, lower alimony, or terminate it, hope is not totally out the window. There are many different provisions under the Florida statutes that you can change alimony. There are still provisions where if either spouse lost income or gained new income, you can go back and file for a modification of alimony.
I believe there does need to be reform in that area. There are definitely situations where permanent periodic alimony is appropriate. I've had many cases where I do believe that permanent periodic alimony is appropriate, but there are situations where it is clearly not.
So it's going to be interesting to see how the courts are actually going to take what was discussed, even though it's not law, and kind of implement it to the cases going forward.
So what that means is we're not at a total end for alimony reform, but you certainly won't see any movement on the issue for at least a year or a year and a half.